Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Tomorrow is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. I'll show you what time the thunderstorms will move across your area.
Plus, hundreds of North Carolina business owners call on local lawmakers to uphold Governor Roy Cooper's veto on the abortion ban.
And a horrific crash kills a mother on Mother's Day. The charges the driver faces and what authorities say he was doing right before the crash.
A cold front will arrive tomorrow and bring with it the chance for severe weather for parts of our viewing area. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. The biggest threat, damaging winds. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with who could see severe weather and when.
The best chance of severe storms are going to be along and north of the I-85 corridor, and it does stretch all the way down into part of Chatham County, including Siler City. We will see the whole line of thunderstorms, though, moving across the viewing area, so everybody will be in line to have some storms. They just may be a bit stronger the farther north and west you go. Let's kick things off at about 7 a.m. and you can see we're going to start tomorrow morning with a few scattered showers, and then we're going to see a break after the morning commute. We'll end up seeing partly cloudy skies, and wherever we see some sunshine breaking through, that will destabilize the atmosphere and make the chance of those storms a little bit stronger. Brand new run of the computer models is considerably slower than what we were seeing earlier this morning, so we'll push it into motion. You can see at 5 o'clock we're starting to see some showers and thunderstorms approaching the viewing area. That's 2 to 3 hours slower than the runs that we're seeing this morning. You can see right through the triangle area at around 7 p.m. and then 8 to 9 p.m. it starts to push out of the viewing area. There's still the potential for a few isolated storms to pop up again around midnight and sink southward. So here's a look at our hour-by-hour rain chances. We are likely to see some scattered rain in the morning and then a bit of a break. And then by 4 or 5 o'clock, we begin to see that line of thunderstorms moving across the viewing area. That's when we'd have the best chance of seeing any wind damage. We're looking at a nice break from the rain mid to late week, but we have a chance of some showers again on Saturday. I'll take a look at that coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Hundreds of businesses across the state are calling on lawmakers to reject bills that would restrict abortion rights and LGBTQ rights in North Carolina. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is live outside the legislature in downtown Raleigh with the message these business owners are sending. Matt.
Yeah, Renee, more than 200 business owners have signed on to this letter saying bans are bad for business. Now, this comes as state lawmakers prepare for a vote that could override the governor's veto of that abortion bill. Business owners representing restaurants and healthcare in the Triangle gathered outside Trophy Brewing in Raleigh this morning. They are urging the General Assembly to uphold the governor's veto of the bill, which would ban most abortions after 12 weeks. They say it threatens the state's economy, even comparing it to the backlash a couple years ago over HB2, the bathroom bill that so many people remember here. Two-time James Beard award-winning chef Ashley Christensen is one of those business owners signing on to this letter.
Here's our ability to build diverse and inclusive workforce pipelines, recruit top talent across states, and protect the well-being of all people who keep our businesses thriving in and out.
Governor Cooper vetoed the abortion bill in front of a large crowd in downtown Raleigh on Saturday. He only needs one Republican lawmaker to switch their vote and uphold his veto. And as we've reported, the governor has really been making a pitch to voters in 4 swing districts with 4 different representatives and 3 representatives and 1 senator who have switched their votes, and he says have said that they would uphold all of these rights for women when it comes to abortion, and who have changed that decision here. Now, at this point, a vote on this veto override has not yet been scheduled here at the legislature.
Matt Tallhelm live in Raleigh. Matt, thank you.
Breaking news within the last hour, we have learned a man is charged with killing a Tarboro woman after crashing into her apartment. Deputies say he was running from a DUI checkpoint. WRAL's Keenan Willard shows us how the family of the woman killed is trying to deal with her tragic loss on Mother's Day.
Jeanette Drew's family tells me she was asleep in her apartment here when a car smashed through the wall, killing her instantly and trapping her grandchildren under piles of debris. It happened around 2 a.m. Sunday at the Northgate Apartments. Police say 18-year-old Darquavius Lancaster was fleeing a DUI checkpoint at 100 miles an hour. They say he lost control of the car and smashed through 2 apartments. Drew was killed in the impact. Her daughter has been left devastated. She tells me she'd just gotten her Mother's Day gift from Drew hours before she was killed.
It's just so hurtful. I lost my mom on Mother's Day.
Lancaster is facing 8 total charges, including felony death by vehicle and driving with a revoked license. Keenan Willard, WRAL News, Tarboro.
Horrific details there. All lanes of westbound I-40 at I-540 are reopened now this lunch hour after a crash during the morning commute. Sky 5 flew over that scene shortly after 9 o'clock after a box truck overturned. You see it there. The lanes were cleared a few minutes before our newscast today, and the crash blocked 4 out of 5 of those lanes, caused some huge delays. It's unclear what caused the crash or if there were any injuries. We'll keep you updated on air and online. And we now know the names of 2 people who were killed in an ATV crash in Raleigh. Police say 36-year-old Kevin Epps and 18-year-old Jaya Jackson were riding the ATV when they crashed into a car. They were not wearing safety helmets. The crash happened on Pool Road near Rush Street around 7 last night. Police say 24-year-old Taylor Williams was driving the car and was cited for failure to stop at a stop sign, as well as 2 counts of misdemeanor death by motor vehicle.
Students in Durham Public Schools paused this morning to take a moment to reflect on children who've died from gun violence. It's being called a Day of Remembrance. WRAL's Laura Levine is in Durham with this new effort to promote youth safety.
I'm here in the heart of downtown Durham, where this very important message will be on full display today. A school board member tells me they want to show students impacted by gun violence there is a community who cares about them, who cares about change, and cares about protecting them. A moment of silence was held at 10 a.m. across Durham Public Schools, community members and businesses to take a moment and reflect on the lives lost. They're having what's being called a Day of Remembrance. 18 people under the age of 18 have been shot in Durham so far this year, and 4 of them have died. You're looking at Sky 5 video from the tragic shooting near Hillside High School. City, county, and school leaders are coming together to show a commitment to safety and wellness. School board member Javanya Lewis organized this event with a goal to provide youth with more positive lifestyle opportunities, including job training, employment, and extracurricular activities.
Some people respond differently how we grieve and how we show up and what we feel like we need to show kids. To me, this will show the children our humanity and connection with them, that we're remembering those that are loved, that we're loved and are loved, and that they are loved, that we're taking the time out to center them in their voice.
And at 5:30 this afternoon, city and county leaders will gather here near the Bull in downtown Durham for speeches, spoken word by students, and a reading of a resolution. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Durham.
Today marks the start of National Police Week. This morning, a memorial ceremony took place in downtown Raleigh as part of National Peace Officers Memorial Day. The ceremony honored 23 Wake County fallen law enforcement officers. Our WRAL tower right here at our studio headquarters on Western Boulevard will be lit blue all this week. More than a dozen other Raleigh locations are also joining in the blue salute. We remember Wake Sheriff's Deputy Ned Bird and Raleigh Police Officer Gabriel Torres, who were killed this past year.
Today, North Carolina lawmakers are scheduled to roll out a new state budget proposal. One of the biggest topics is state employee pay. This is a year where there's a little more pressure because the state is struggling right now to hire people and keep them. State numbers show applications were down 43% last year compared to 2019. More than 1 in 3 people who go to work for state agencies leave after less than a year. Our state government team dug into the numbers and what state lawmakers might do about it. You can read that story online at nccapital.com. People in Wake County are invited to share their thoughts in person on the county's new proposed budget. Commissioners want to hear how you feel about the next steps. There are 2 sessions happening today. You can drop in at 2 o'clock this afternoon at the Wake County Justice Center. The board chambers there is where they'll have that meeting. And if that time frame doesn't work for you, you can stop by the Wake County Commons building. That session begins at 7 tonight.
happening right now in the WRAL Live Center. Some big news for Duke basketball this afternoon. Jeremy Roach says he is headed back for his 4th season. He did confirm the decision today on his Instagram page. He wrote, "Duke Nation, I am not done yet, year 4. Back in April, Roach announced that he would get feedback from pro scouts on his NBA prospects while also maintaining his college eligibility. Today, we have learned he will be back for his senior year. You can read more about this on WRALSportsFan.com. Michelle, thanks. A Vegas-style casino, just a relatively short drive from the Triangle, opened 2 hours ago. The lights and screens of more than 700 slot machines are now in play at Caesars, Virginia. That's just across the state line in Danville, about an hour-and-a-half drive from Raleigh. The casino is currently inside a massive tent on the site of a future $650 million resort. It's expected to draw a lot of visitors from our area. Entertainment mogul Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z, wants to be part of a casino business in New York City's Times Square. The city recently won approval for a gaming license. In an open letter, Jay-Z's entertainment company listed reasons why his group should have the winning hand in the bid. His company promises to commit $115 million for diverse theater programs that would take care of daycare for Broadway families.
Next at noon, facing the facts, new airport security tools could make travel safer where you might see facial recognition in use. That technology the next time you fly.
Also, a shark attack survivor talks about the face-to-face fight and how she got away.
Plus, one-time stay-at-home moms are re-entering the workforce. At 12:30, the biggest challenges they say they're facing.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
A new security tool could help make airports like RDU International safer. This is a live look at it this afternoon. Lauren Blanchard takes a look at facial recognition technology you might encounter before your next flight.
Your next journey through airport security could feel more like a photo shoot. That's because the Transportation Safety Administration is rolling out new facial recognition technology at a number of its checkpoints across the country.
What we are trying to do with this is aid the officers to actually determine that you are who you say you are.
Passengers start by scanning their license, ID card, or passport. A camera on the device then takes their photo, and the software does the rest, analyzing the images to ensure the person's picture on the scanner matches the one on their ID. The technology is currently being used in 16 airports, including ones in Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Los Angeles, Miami, and more. But for those concerned about privacy, TSA says,
once all that photograph is taken and the match is made, your ID scan as well as your live photo is deleted upon match.
Still, privacy advocates are calling for measures to prevent the tool from being used for anything other than ID checks in the future. And while participation in the facial scans is optional,
people who decide not to use it make sure that they're not impacted negatively with extremely long lines or wait process to get through security checkpoint.
Meanwhile, with Memorial Day marking the unofficial start to summer, your odds of seeing a facial scanner in the coming months is high, with the U.S. Travel Association predicting leisure travel this summer will break records.
That was Lauren Blanchard reporting, and the TSA hopes to increase the amount of scanners at its checkpoints by the end of this year. Earlier this year, RDU installed Clear technology, which scans fingerprints and your eyes to help speed up the security checkpoint process.
Can artificial intelligence fly a plane? It could happen in the future. The president of Emirates Airlines says AI could replace some human pilots on passenger planes. The flights would be fully automated with a human pilot in the cockpit. The airline president acknowledges that some people are worried about the potential harms from AI, but should instead consider the possible benefits it could offer. Some major airlines begin cutting flights today. United Airlines is reducing its number of routes from airports in New York, which could affect other airports, including RDU. Delta and American are also planning to drop flights for the summer travel season. This is happening because the FAA is facing a shortage of air traffic controllers.
The mother of a Florida teenager who survived a shark attack is talking about the nightmare now. 13-year-old Ella Reed is recovering after a shark attack in a Florida state park. The rising 8th grader says the shark struck out of nowhere, biting her torso, arm, finger, her knee, and then circled back and attacked her again. She punched what she believes was a bull shark, sprang out of the water, and then FaceTimed her family.
At first I thought she was joking, actually, and then she says, "I'm not joking," and she took the camera and she panned it on her body. I kind of just froze and freaked out. Her first thing was to tell her friend to run, not ask for help. She was saving her friend.
Yeah, Ella had to get 19 stitches, 5 on her torso, 14 on her leg. The family is accustomed to seeing sharks when they're out fishing or by the nearby reef, but they've never seen one so close to shore. A Nepalese Sherpa guide climbed Mount Everest for the 26th time on Sunday, and hiking officials said it becomes the world's second person now to achieve that feat. That Nepalese Sherpa has tied a Mount Everest climbing record with that. He climbed the mountain 26th time on Sunday, the world's second person to achieve that feat. The 46-year-old stood atop the 29,000-foot peak. The original record holder is currently climbing Everest and could set another record if he makes it to the top. Sherpas, who mostly use their first names, are known for their climbing skills and make a living mainly by guiding foreign clients up into those mountains and try to get through there. And they only issue so many permits every spring, weather permitting. They try to get them all through there.
Just an incredible achievement. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking the potential for severe weather for tomorrow being a WRAL weather alert day.
What's new at noon is the timing of this line of thunderstorms that's going to come through, not just the area where we have the level 1 risk, but everybody's going to see this line of storms coming through, starting now in our western counties at around 4 or so, and then exiting the viewing area by around 9. The wind threat remains the same, winds gusting at 60 miles per hour or stronger, and we could see some minor flooding. There's a small risk that flooding would happen, and certainly because this looks like it's going to be during the evening commute, it could cause some travel problems too for folks heading home from work during the usual time. Here's a look at our level 1 risk for severe storms. It's mainly along and north of I-85, but a little bit of that does spread down again, as I mentioned earlier this morning, or earlier just a little while ago, through Chatham County down towards Siler City. This is a look at our futurecast for today. We're going to start off with today. Notice how we have a few scattered showers that may pop up around 4 o'clock near the Virginia line. This is also an update from our previous models that we were showing you earlier this morning. A better chance of seeing some showers. It looked like we could see a few sprinkles earlier, but the coverage just looks a little more widespread for us now for this afternoon and evening. Again, starting around 4, there's 9 p.m. Notice at midnight it starts to pick up in intensity. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. A lot of this is going to be from the Triangle area northward. So if you're, say, from Raleigh northward, you may end up seeing some fairly wet conditions for the commute tomorrow morning, even though the rain will be fairly light. Then a break midday, and around 4 o'clock, we start to see some of the thunderstorms popping up near Roxborough. At 5 o'clock, some of those are dipping down into Person County, but the main line is still back to the west. And at 6 o'clock, it starts to really move into the viewing area. At 7 o'clock, through the Triangle area back towards Southern Pines. By 8 o'clock, Rocky Mount to Goldsboro to Fayetteville, and then by 10 o'clock, it's out of the viewing area. We still have the chance for a few isolated showers or storms to pop up again around midnight or so. This is a look at our high-resolution satellite. So skies look gray from Raleigh northward. You can see just a small band of clouds. You head to the west or to the south, we're seeing plenty of sunshine, but we're going to see that band of clouds sinking southward, and a lot of that cloud cover will fill in over the next few hours. So again, right here in Raleigh, you can see the airport there, Terminal 2. It's gray. Our temperature is almost at 70. We'll just climb into the mid-70s with those increasing clouds today. Mid-60s in Roxborough, that's our cool spot. Mid-70s in Fayetteville and Clinton, where we have a lot of sunshine. And in the Triangle, we'll see 76 in Raleigh, 75 in Durham, and 82 in Fayetteville this afternoon. Once our front comes through tomorrow, we'll end up with some cooler afternoons back into the 70s with a nice drop in our humidity as well. It'll be sticky tomorrow because, of course, we're going to start with some sprinkles. We'll end up with thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. But after that, those dew points in the 40s and 50s feel very comfortable. So that's going to feel nice. We do have that weather alert day for tomorrow, and then some nice conditions for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Taking a peek at the weekend, we have rain in our forecast, but it's not going to be a washout. I'll show you how to plan around it coming up.
And happening right now in the WRAL Life Center, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just signed a bill into law that would bar the state's colleges and universities from spending money on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and also limit how race can be discussed in many courses. Supporters say they are critical to serving the nation's increasingly diverse student populations, while others say the state is trampling on academic freedom. DeSantis is expected to formally make his announcement for a run for president in next year's election. We will have more on that coming up at 12:30.
Michelle, thanks. Tonight on your news at 5:30, an Instagram post claimed 3 healthcare systems in North Carolina were diagnosing toddlers with gender dysphoria and starting to transition them. We fact-checked the post in today's PolitiFact and have the hospital's response.
Even drivers who love their electric vehicles admit there needs to be more reliable charging options. Tonight at 6, 5 on your side is taking a road trip to the coast to test how easy or difficult it is to travel in an EV.
Pickleball is moving in as Bed Bath & Beyond and other retailers move out. And GM is recalling some popular SUV models. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
General Motors is recalling nearly 1 million SUVs due to a potentially dangerous airbag inflator. The recalled models are the Chevy Traverse, Buick Enclave, and GMC Acadia. Vehicles from model years 2014 through 2017 are affected. The inflator in the driver's side airbag could explode when the bag is deployed and spray shrapnel. Owners of the SUVs can have the faulty part replaced for free. The Postal Service is taking steps to crack down on mail theft. New electronic locks will be put on 49,000 of the blue collection mailboxes. That's an effort to stop attacks on mail carriers who've been targeted by thieves trying to get the key to unlock the boxes. And another 12,000 high-security mailboxes will be installed in areas considered high risk for mail theft. The Postal Service received about 300,000 complaints of mail theft during a recent 12-month period, more than double the number from the previous year. Pickleball is moving into big empty stores that used to be home to Bed Bath & Beyond and other retailers. Courts have been opening in malls and former Old Navy and Saks off-Fifth locations around the U.S. This comes as malls are looking to fill the empty spaces vacated by the retailers. At the same time, the popularity of pickleball is soaring and demand for courts is high. Last year, almost 9 million people were playing the sport, according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ market site.
Some vehicles will soon have access to features like YouTube, Waze, and Zoom. Google announced vehicles with Android software will be able to get those features soon. Volvo and Polestar will be the first to let owners watch YouTube in their vehicles while parked. Getting onto a conference call will also be available through Zoom and Microsoft Teams, but only via audio. Some automakers are dropping an old feature. BMW, Volkswagen, Mazda, and Tesla are nixing the AM radio because they say electric engines can interfere with AM sound. Ford is dropping it from all electric and gas vehicles. The move is being met with protests from AM station owners, the customers, even first responders. There are about 4,200 AM stations in the U.S. dedicated to news, weather, and political talk.
Worldwide food insecurity is on the rise. The 4 major reasons the United Nations blames for the surge.
And here are your winning lottery numbers on your screen right now.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis spent the weekend crisscrossing Iowa. His visit to the early state comes just days before he's expected to announce his presidential bid. Madeline Rivera reports from Washington on the GOP primary race.
So great to be in Cedar Rapids. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis making his pitch to voters in Iowa. The potential Republican presidential candidate had the Hawkeye State largely to himself over the weekend after former President Trump canceled his rally on Saturday.
The leader doesn't put their finger in the wind and try to see which way the wind's blowing. The leader should have the fortitude to chart a vision, to execute the vision, and deliver results.
The weekend offered an early glimpse into what could be in store for 2024, and voters are watching closely.
I do think that Ron DeSantis has some good policies. I'm concerned a little bit about some of the challenges that he's had with corporations in Florida.
More than 30 Iowa state lawmakers have already endorsed the Florida governor, who's shaping up to be former President Trump's most formidable opponent in the Republican primary. Trump stepping up his attacks on Truth Social.
The problem with Ron DeSanctimonious is that he needs a personality transplant, and those are not yet available.
Trump is still leading the GOP primary field in most polls, but a strong performance by DeSantis in Iowa could spell trouble for the former president.
If DeSantis can gain some traction in Iowa and win the first of the Iowa caucuses, things could that could give him some momentum going into the rest of the race.
That was Madeline Rivera. DeSantis is expected to make his announcement in the coming days.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak this morning to discuss new support in the fight against Russia. The UK has been a major ally of Ukraine, providing the country with missiles and attack drones as it continues its pushback against Russia's invasion. The country now plans to give Ukraine hundreds more air defense missiles and drones. This is the fourth European country Zelensky has visited in the last week. The trip comes just a day after Zelensky made a surprise visit to France to meet with President Emmanuel Macron. France pledged additional military aid for Ukraine, including light tanks and armored vehicles. France will aim to train about 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers in France this year, along with nearly 4,000 others in Poland.
The Federal Reserve Bank is expected to release its quarterly report on household debt and credit based on the first quarter of this year later today. Analysts anticipate credit card balances will pass $1 trillion for the first time in history. Meanwhile, talks about raising the country's spending ceiling remains in stalemate.
The only thing that can solve our problems now is for Congress to lift the debt limit, which they've done, by the way, 78 times. And in the last administration, they did 3 times without negotiation.
President Biden and top congressional leaders, including House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, are expected to meet again this week to discuss the matter. A prolonged debt limit breach could cut thousands of jobs nationwide. Some analysts are warning that a recession is likely to come sometime during the second half of this year.
More than 250 million people faced food insecurity last year. Krista Mayo explains how shrinking farmland is impacting how and where people shop.
Rising rates of food insecurity have global health officials starving for solutions. New data from the United Nations finds more than 250 million people in 58 countries lacked regular access to enough food to promote a healthy life last year.
35 million people are on the brink of starvation. 258 million people are experiencing an acute food and nutrition crisis.
The UN report says ongoing conflicts like the war between Russia and Ukraine, economic uncertainty, and worsening climate change are fueling global food shortages. It's the 4th year in a row levels of food insecurity have grown, and analysts say it's posing severe threats, especially for children.
Worldwide, 149 million children under 5 are experiencing stunted growth, and 35 million are suffering from wasting.
Here in the States, the nonprofit group Feeding America says 34 million people are food insecure, with new data from Purdue University's Consumer Food Insights report finding
food insecure households are less happy with their overall diet and less happy with their overall life in general than our food secure households.
In the U.S., researchers also say high bills and limited access to grocery stores is causing more shoppers to expand their search for budget-friendly foods.
Total food spending is about 7% higher now than was the case last year. About 55% of consumers said that they had shopped at a dollar store in the past 30 days. In fact, most people said that there was a dollar store closer to their home than was the typical grocery store.
There's Kristen Mayo reporting, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Americans are getting some relief at the grocery store. Milk prices dropped 2%. Meat, eggs, and fish prices also dropped slightly.
Let's hope they keep trending that way. From stay-at-home mom to mom working outside the home, the challenges women face as they try to re-enter the workforce.
Plus, more and more restaurants are saying you can bring your pup with you when you go out to dine. The best practices to ensure a safe and healthy experience for all.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Johnston, Chatham, and Orange counties. We begin in Johnston County, where people there will get a look at the final version of plans for future parks. The planning process took 9 months to complete. Last month, county officials approved the version. Tonight's public meeting will be at the Johnston County Courthouse at 6 p.m. A ceremony tonight will celebrate the grand opening of new apartments in Pittsboro. The Guild Apartments are opening tonight at the Mosaic at Chatham Park Development. That's off US 501 and north of 64. A new 12-foot interactive mosaic sculpture will also be unveiled at the ceremony. That all gets started at 4 this afternoon. And the Chapel Hill Fire Department is conducting a live burn today. So if you see smoke along I-40 and 15501 near Chapel Hill, do not be concerned. If you're sensitive to smoke, firefighters are asking you to plan to stay inside or avoid that area if possible. It's expected to wrap up at 5.
If you have student loans, you will soon have to start repaying them again. Payments have been suspended since March of 2020 because of the COVID-19 emergency. The Education Department says it's preparing to restart those payments now that the emergency has been lifted. A report shows student loan providers will start collecting again in October. This comes as the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness plan is being challenged in court. The majority of moms who took a pause from work to raise their children say it is difficult now trying to return to the workforce. A survey by job search engine Indeed shows 93% of stay-at-home moms say they face challenges while trying to find jobs or think they'll face challenges. More than half of those moms say their biggest problem is the gap in their resume. The survey adds they also believe they've faced bias during the job hiring process.
A new survey finds young people value their right to post on social media more than their right to vote. The survey shows 59% of young adults with TikTok accounts say they would give up their voting rights for a year just to post on social media. That is, if they were forced to pick between the two. For those 13 to 17 years old, that figure was higher, with 64% of them saying they would rather have the right to post. Let's take a live look now at Clinton, where we will warm up into the mid-70s, feeling very seasonable. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Elizabeth is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, tracking what's expected for tomorrow's Weather Alert Day.
A Raleigh roofing company is giving away a free roof to a local deserving veteran. A&M Premier Roofing Construction is veteran-owned and operated, and this week they'll be giving their first free roof away to a local Army Vietnam veteran who lives in Clayton. Joining us now to talk about this program, Leonardo Almeida and Stephen Mull, the owners of A&M, Almeida and Mull. That's how we get to A&M and Premier Roofing and Construction. Appreciate you guys coming on with me. Right now, we know your company has placed huge importance on helping veterans. Stephen, tell us why you're so committed for this.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. So we're so committed to it. Just myself personally, I served 10 years in the Marine Corps and 3 years in the State Department. We hire mostly veterans. About 75% of our staff are veterans. And I always tell people, no matter what you're doing, there's a Lance Corporal somewhere that's cold, wet, tired, and hungry, protecting our freedoms. You can be sure of that.
Isn't that the truth? And while I have you here, how did you select this lucky veteran? What was the criteria there?
So the person that we selected is Victor Caccaro. He moved to the area after his battles with cancer and other health concerns. He's a proud member of Vietnam Veterans of America, Local 800. Before his health issues, he volunteered his time to visit and bring food to other veterans at veteran rehab hospitals. So we just got a number of people that applied, and we just look at their story. If they're in low fixed income, those are just some of the things that we look at.
You can't miss with a lot of them with the need that's already out there. And we know that replacing a roof can be expensive, stressful, but necessary, if it's needed. Tell us what signs a homeowner, everyday homeowner, might need to look for if a roof is in need of repair or replacement.
So you'll definitely want to get an inspector out there to take a look at the roof. What they look for is granule loss, some cracking on the shingles. We also look at all the penetrations, your box vents, your pipes. Victor's roof was about 26 years old, so it was definitely overdue.
A&M Premier Roofing has a neighborhood ceremony you're hosting this week. Tell me what's planned with that.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're going to be putting a $20,000 top-of-the-line roof on Victor's home, and we're just going to go over it with his family and explain to them how we're going to do it and the timeline, and we should be installing it this Thursday.
That is neat. So just kind of open, it's just like a show and tell right there as you do it. Can anyone learn more about the free roofing program for veterans? How would they do that?
Yeah, so you can go on our Facebook page, shoot us a message there and nominate a veteran that way. You can also go on our website, anprco.com. We also have an Instagram page. Feel free to follow us. It's AMPremier_. And we constantly put updates on there. The second quarter winner, we'll announce it in July. So you have till June 30th to nominate the veteran.
Okay, for the next round. We know this one's already taken care of. Thank you guys so much for doing that. And Leonardo Almeida, Stephen Mull, A&M owners, we appreciate you guys so much for doing this today for us and for that veteran.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Renee?
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
Such a great program. Happening today, 12 local cities, towns, and counties are working together to make solar energy more accessible and affordable. The coalition is launching a second campaign. We first told you about the Solarize the Triangle initiative last July. Communities raise money through crowdsourcing to make the equipment to capture solar energy cheaper. The coalition is holding an event tonight at Highwire Brewing in Durham from 6 to 8. Not going to capture a whole lot of solar energy today with all that cloud cover out there. Tomorrow, those clouds could give way to storms. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking the latest severe weather alert.
This is a look at where we're more likely to see scattered storms that could become severe tomorrow along and north of the I-85 corridor and then back down here into Chatham County. The top line for this could start as early as 4 p.m. with those storms moving into our western counties and then out of the viewing area by around 8 o'clock or so. Damaging wind would be the biggest threat that we would see. Here's a look at the current setup. You can see here's the low pressure system and the cold front that will continue to slide eastward, and that cold front will move across our area tomorrow, helping to bring us that chance for some scattered thunderstorms. We also have a little disturbance that's going to swing through later on this afternoon. As a matter of fact, you can see here on Futurecast, mostly cloudy skies. You can see at 4 o'clock we have some showers that start to drop in across the area. The coverage of this is a little more widespread than the models are showing this morning. So this is a new run of the computer models that I showed you a little bit earlier in the newscast, but it's kind of nice to see it again, roll through it and take a peek. Really, the northern part of the viewing area has the chance of a few isolated showers all the way through midnight and beyond. Notice at 7:15 tomorrow morning, we're dealing with some rain, so there could be some patchy rain for the morning commute, and sometimes it doesn't take a whole lot of rain to make for a fairly messy commute. And with the showers that we'll see overnight, the roads could be pretty wet, especially from the Triangle area northward for your travels tomorrow morning. It looks like we would see a break around the middle of the day, maybe even a little bit of sunshine. And if we do, that can destabilize the atmosphere and make it more supportive for some stronger storms to develop. Here's 5 o'clock, and you can see that line of thunderstorms starting to develop near the Virginia line, but then stretching back across the triad. And it doesn't move through our viewing area as a line until, say, 6 to 7 o'clock. That's a little bit later than the run of the computer models that we had this morning. So running a little slower. That could be good news because hopefully a lot of folks will be home from the morning commute or the evening commute by the time we get to 7 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, we're seeing along the I-95 corridor, that line of stronger thunderstorms. And then by 9 or 10, it's out of the viewing area. But there could still be a few isolated storms late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Here's a look at the best chance of seeing any severe storms in terms of the wind damage that we could see. Notice the green area that starts to move through around the middle of the afternoon, and that continues to stick around all the way until 6 or 7 o'clock. So that's where we would have the best chance of seeing some severe storms. Some of this rainfall will be heavy, and of course, it will begin late today and continue all the way through tomorrow. Now, a lot of it's going to be very light, but you'll notice the big difference. South Hill at almost 3/4 of an inch, a little over 3/4 of an inch, and Roxborough a little under. So the heaviest rainfall is certainly going to be to the north. Rocky Mount at almost a 1/2 inch, Durham more like a little over 1/4 of an inch, and much lighter amounts down to the south. So depends on where you are as to how much rain you may see. The heavier amounts will be from the Triangle area northward. A brand new pollen forecast just came in about an hour ago. High for trees and medium for weeds and grasses. Of course, the yellow pine pollen is gone. We continue to have some trees that continue to drop pollen, for a while. WRAL weather alert day for tomorrow, then a nice stretch of pretty weather Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then we have that chance of a few isolated showers on Saturday. The models should come into fairly good agreement in the next couple of days. The timeline for that.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a new bill on the way to the U.S. Senate would provide new guidelines for Ticketmaster. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal introduced the Unlock Ticketing Markets Act. He called Ticketmaster and Live Nation a monopolistic mess and vowed to pass the legislation to open up room for competition. He says this will also force the company to list service fees for tickets up front so you know what you're paying for. Last November, you may remember the ticketing platform meltdown during the Taylor Swift tour. He called that incident horrible. He said it cheated fans and was a sign that the industry is not functioning the way that it should be.
Just be a responsible human with your animal and make smart decisions like everything else.
Dining with dogs coming up. New guidance from the FDA just in time for summer. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we are following for you today. Hundreds of businesses across the state are calling on lawmakers to reject bills that would restrict abortions and LGBTQ rights in North Carolina. More than 200 businesses have signed a letter saying bans are bad for business. This comes as state lawmakers prepare for a vote that could override Governor Cooper's veto of the abortion bill.
This morning, students in Durham Public Schools took a moment to reflect on children who've died from gun violence. It's being called a day of remembrance. It's part of an ongoing effort to stop youth violence. There will also be a ceremony at 5:30 in downtown Durham. City leaders and students are expected to speak.
All lanes of westbound I-40 at I-540 are reopened now this lunch hour after a crash during the morning commute. WRAL Sky 5 flew over that scene shortly after 9 o'clock after the box truck overturned. The lanes were cleared a few minutes before noon. The crash blocked 4 of the 5 lanes, causing big delays. It's unclear what caused the crash and if there were any injuries. We'll keep you updated on air and online.
The internet is buzzing over Sports Illustrated's newest swimsuit cover model. Martha Stewart is a mother, grandmother, and now the oldest SI swimsuit cover model at age 81. Doesn't she look incredible? Stewart is an Emmy Award-winning TV show host. She's written 99 lifestyle books. The other cover models include Kim Petras, the first transgender woman to win a Grammy, SI model Brooks Nader, and actress and model Megan Fox. For the first time in 13 years, Antiques Roadshow is returning to Raleigh this week. You're looking at video from the last time the show stopped in the Triangle. That was in 2010. The hit PBS series production tour will stop at the North Carolina Museum of Art tomorrow. Admission to the roadshow is free, but tickets are required. This will air in 2024, marking the show's 28th season.
Food and Drug Administration says restaurants can now allow dogs in outdoor areas. The agency says businesses still need approval from local regulators before allowing pups on the premises. The FDA also suggests restaurants be prepared for the furry diners by providing trash cans for pet waste, ensuring dogs stay leashed, and offering water bowls. Aging parents may be looking forward to retirement, but many deal with retirement depression after working for so many years. How to spot the signs and how you can help your loved ones live their life to the fullest.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can also get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day as you look upon WRAL.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.